Other people may come in.
Huh?
Okay. Okay, and we did put confirmation. This was posted for the meeting now. Everybody got the notice that this was supposed to be a Zoom meeting and the other meeting was supposed to be in person next week
Yes.
at 2
Yes,
o'clock,
thank you for
right?
resending that.
Any questions regarding any of that?
Nope.
Okay. We don't have to do roll call unless you'd like to, Pam, just for saying hello to everybody.
I can do that. Let me find my roll. There it is. All right, do we have a cookie? We do.
Yep.
Do we have Roger? No? No, Roger? Okay. I'm here. Shannon? Do I see you?
Here.
Yes, well, I don't see you, but I hear you. Steve?
Yep.
Dick?
Yes.
Jenny?
Nope.
Nah. George?
Here.
Monica? Nope. Claire, I see you.
Yeah, yes.
Tammy, do I hear you?
Yes,
Debbie? Nah. Barb?
Yep,
Sue Downs, I see you, and John West.
John is getting ready to have that another third surgery
Oh,
on that eye, so we
Oh.
don't know when he'll be back here, so keep him in your prayers. I mean, it's the third one on that eye.
Wow.
You hear that?
Pam, Roger is here.
well, hi, Roger.
Howdy.
Good morning. Okay, so on your agenda, which you received from John, a lot of those things are, the minutes will be going through, at our regular
Thought I had it.
meeting.
I'll be right back. I gotta go get it. I thought I had it.
What?
My agenda.
Oh, okay. So as we go through here, remember, as always, as we're going through, if there's anything you want to address more thoroughly, please don't let us rush through it without you giving your comments or questions regarding it.
Okay.
So,
Nope.
Can
and
I, can I start just a question, please?
then- Sure, John, anytime.
Hi, for the posting purposes, are we still considering using the library?
The church.
I mean, the church, I'm sorry.
We took a vote that next meeting, which is January 17th, would be in person. So John is questioning if he posts this, do you still want it posted that it will be at the church? Or do you want to just make it a Zoom? So I think, isn't that correct, John, what you're asking?
I'm asking yes, because there has been some changes and some people have questioned it. And we also have to come to a decision on, because before we meet again, or actually, yeah, before we even meet on Monday, we have an annual meeting mailing notice going out. And last year it was filled with COVID protocols and what we couldn't do and what we couldn't do. And so we've got to really consider a decision if we're going back. The church is amicable to whenever we show up. If we choose not to go on Monday, but want to go in March, that'll be fine with them. So, I mean, we're not out of pocket anything.
So we probably want to discuss this.
In case there's any changes. If not, we just go on,
Well, I think we should go to the church and at least try it. If we're gonna do it in March, we need to have a dry run at it.
I agree. And if, those people who want to wear masks, if they feel more comfortable, should do that.
Or if they want to Zoom, they can Zoom.
Right.
That's right. They've got the option. So
totally agree.
I think we need to let adults make their own decisions.
So,
Okay, so nothing is changing from what we voted on. We will be at the church on January 17th. Masks are, once again, like every place I've been lately, optional. If you feel comfortable not wearing a mask, we're not going to force you, but if you want to wear a mask, you certainly are welcome to wear a mask. Anything else that you'd like to discuss on that? Nope.
So we'll have it at the church and Zoom.
correct.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Chris, do you think you think we should, I should go over there and test the Zoom to make sure?
Well, I would like to go over and try the internet connection. I'm not sure yet how we're gonna do it. I tested the projector. I can certainly show at the church, I can show everybody who wants to zoom in on the projector. What I'm not as comfortable with yet is getting the camera working to show the people on Zoom, the people in the church. I've got software that I have to try out yet that I'm not completely comfortable with. And I had to buy a new cable for the camera to make it connect. So I would actually suggest this, that if the people, the board members, and actually anybody else that wants to attend at the church, if they wouldn't mind bringing along a device so that they could turn Zoom on, it would be helpful. Because
Would that cause feedback?
Pardon me?
Would that cause feedback and vibration?
I think what we could do is basically turn your sound off, and then just to show your picture. That's the sound issue. I will have to try that. We'll have hopefully our speaker system there, and that should take care of the sound issue. But the problem is, how do we show people on Zoom the people in the room? And
Chris,
so
Chris,
yeah, go ahead, George.
if the people on Zoom are unable to see the people at the actual meeting, can they still hear them loud and clear?
Well, that'll be, we hope so. I think
Yeah,
the
Because
issue will be,
that's the important thing. I mean, that would be like as if I called in as opposed to attending.
right.
The way Marty used to do, other people used to call into the meetings. And as long as you can hear what's going on and you can have a chance to speak, if the video is not 100%, that's fine.
You know, I have a suggestion to, this next meeting is going to be a trial run to see how it works. So maybe we should, as a board, decide when the meeting is over, let's stay in our seats for an additional 10 minutes, just to kind of evaluate how everything went with Chris and maybe give suggestions rather than leaving until we have it fresh in our mind.
Right.
This does work, this doesn't work, can we do this? An extra 10 minutes while it's fresh in our mind might really help us when we go back and try to do it the following month. So that's a suggestion. Let's just remember, we're trying this out. It's a trial. Let's stay an extra 10 minutes, evaluate the procedure, see if there's anything we can make it better. Yes, Dick.
Chris,
Yeah.
when you say bring a device, do you mean like an iPad or something like
Yeah,
that?
if you wanted to, it would be, I think, useful. That way, if someone is sitting at a table away from my computer, you could see them. So I just thought that might be helpful.
Okay,
Will the phone work too, Chris?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
I got that.
Mhm.
okay. Thanks, Chris. That's a lot of work. We really do appreciate you doing that. Really
Chris,
is.
let me know what day you're gonna go over. I'd be glad to come over and help you.
Okay, I'll try to do it sometime. Well, my schedule's kind of tight. It might be Thursday. We'll have to see.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be willing to help you, but you probably want to give me the wrong date.
Chris, if you can let the board members know when you're going to do this practice, I could try to zoom in so
Okay,
that you have something to work with.
right. Thanks.
Yeah, let us know, and anybody that wants to Zoom during the trial can, this way we can iron out the bugs before we get started.
Good idea.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, everybody. And Chris, thanks again. Okay, we're not going to do the minutes. That's the next thing. We did that financial matters. That's again for our meeting. Treasurer's report is for our meeting. Accounts receivable, meeting, legal problem, old business. Most of that, even the operations manual, Claire, that's going to be held off right until the meeting unless you have anything you want to update us on or discuss now.
No, I just want to alert everybody that in their packet for the regular meeting, they'll be getting the operations manual and the revised pages. So please look at it before you come to the meeting. That would be helpful.
Yeah, that would really help. Take a little time. You'll get it. When will they get that? Just with the,
They're gonna get it when Jeff delivers the packets.
and that's not gonna, it's not gonna give them much time to look it over.
There's not that much, and it's quick reading. And
Okay,
what I've done is included the pages that were changed and the original with the changes.
okay.
So it's just comparing,
Those, the ones that have made changes.
right,
Okay.
so it'll go quickly.
Everybody will
good.
have it by Friday.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
All right, so the entry sign outside, what's
Yeah, I
our,
got something on that, if you may.
sure,
Getting little feedback from the sign company, unfortunately, but Steve and I drove around and took a look at the updated sign on 34th Street that Wildwood 2 did. And it seems like that they've replaced theirs, I don't know, maybe a few years ago, but it's a lot newer than ours. And they actually did it on a board, some sort of almost like a wall board, and hung letters on it. And that gave us an idea to start doing some investigation on our own. And we've decided that we could do it in-house with either a plexiglass insert that would allow a light to go through and have lights inside if we want. We can get the letters from Hobby Lobby and they actually match the ones on the other side. They're a little bit different than what we currently have, but we could do this in-house for probably a little less than $1,000, where we'd be looking 2 or 3 times as much on outside.
Good idea.
yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah,
Anybody have any comments or disagree? I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Keep
That's
going.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay,
Go
well,
for
we'll
it.
talk about it at the meeting, but I just wanted to give you an update of what we've kind of addressed.
Thanks, John. And you know, the next one is cluster advisors. I know last time we met, we were only missing like 2 or 3 cluster advisors, remember?
Still
Did we-
3.
We're still missing 3. We didn't have anybody that. Okay, we'll have to discuss that. Yes, Chris?
I discussed it with one of my neighbors, and I think she's agreed to represent Cluster R.
Oh, great.
Great. Will you
Name?
get that name to John then for us? Oh,
Sure.
that'd be wonderful. So we only need 2 more, right?
Yes. And we did have a change in Sherwood, but that somebody took over for Jim's wife, so everything's good there.
It'd be great if we could have them all in by the annual meeting is what, in March, John?
Right, yes.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could have them all in place so we could announce them and kind of give them all some acknowledgement that they are our new group of clusters? So we only need 2 more. I don't know.
Which 2 clusters and we need?
It was in the last report. I'll send it again.
I
yeah,
think,
this
I think
Pine
one of
Ridge
them
is-
might be P.
Pardon me, Chris,
I think Cluster P is missing one.
but then there's another one too. There were 2.
In
of them.
Pine
I
Ridge.
think in Palm Tree, I think it's an N or something. I'm not sure which cluster it is.
I
thought it
had
was
them-
not-
I'll have it in your notes, so we'll know.
Yeah, I had them written down too. I just don't have them in front of me.
Right.
I might wonder, John, would it be possible in those clusters to put something on the mailbox, saying, you know, we really need a representative to represent your clusters, or anybody who lives here who'd be willing to be, you know, on the cluster advisor?
Believe it or
Just
not, we did, but we'll put it up again.
Okay, that would be nice if we did it one more time and just see if maybe someone would do it. Okay, good. We'll go after that again at our meeting. We have status of the holiday collection fund. I'm not sure why we have it since it's passed.
Well,
but
it's there for formal announcement. Some people have called in and said we always put it on the bulletin board. We haven't, but we've always put it in the January minutes. And there will be a thank you posting from the employees. They were very, very happy, as the owners were tremendously gracious this year and gave them, each of the hourly employees, including Maggie, each got $1,600 in cash.
Whoa.
That's wonderful.
that
Again, how
is-
many employees is that, John?
12.
12, okay,
That's
thank you.
wonderful. Okay, great. Now, John, you gotta want to discuss this amending the article on E now, or you want to wait for the meeting, or just give us some?
Well, it's interesting. Steve's here, of course, representing the building committee, but we have a building committee meeting on Wednesday, tomorrow, at which time some flooring people are supposed to be here to discuss ways that we may be able to not have to pass this. We don't know yet. We don't know what they're going to bring in. but-
Great.
So so we're going to be up to date in a discussion for Monday for sure.
That's one. What time is that meeting tomorrow?
Tomorrow's 10 o'clock.
That's wonderful. So if anybody wants to be there, it's going to be in the office, I'm presuming, or Zoom.
Yeah, and we hope to have 2 representatives, one for the flooring. And I haven't got a confirmation yet, but we're looking at a different type of surface for the slab renovations. And there's a cementitious type of surface has been proposed by Florida Paint, and they're supposed to, which would be much cheaper than what we used before and non-slip. And they're supposed to come and make a presentation too, but I haven't heard that confirmation yet.
Wonderful. Okay, and we can use the same connection, Chris, to get into that meeting on Zoom?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, now we're going to communication, drone issues. Are there any more?
Well, there was a drone issue. We wrote the realtor and told them, please do not do it again. We're a community that prohibit drone flights. As we remember, Monica didn't want being flown over when she's sunbathing. And so we passed.
Monica, you look like you're surprised. You want drone? Monica, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
I don't think Monica's here.
Now,
She
Monica's
is.
not here.
Oh,
I'm surprised I remembered I was kidding.
Yeah. We know about your
Yeah.
Heard that
sunbathing.
before.
Okay, next thing, neighborhood issues. John, that's under communications.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, wait a minute, Barbara?
Hi, yes, I'm looking at the January calendar on the website and the building committee meeting and is not on there. Are we missing some meeting? Is the calendar supposed to be kept
It's
up?
been posted. It's been posted.
Yeah.
On the
So,
bulletin board.
If it's not on the, we'll take responsibility, or at least I'll throw Maggie under the bus if it's not, if it's not on the website. But it has been properly posted on the bulletin
Okay.
board.
It looks like only the IT meeting has been posted on the website, on the calendar.
And that Chris does good work,
well-
doesn't he?
We'll make sure that's taken care of, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, neighborhood issues, Mr. John.
Each one of you should have received an email from owner Huff. And it was quite detailed in eliciting or listing a list of complaints or non-neighborly activities. And I know that Tammy and I talked about it at the pool meeting, and she had confirmed at least that the issue of food at the pool was in fact a confirmation. Upon receiving, I didn't get the original copy, and Sue sent it to me. And then Mrs. Huff did send me one a couple days later, but I took it upon myself to talk to the neighbors in and around, as the Huffs aren't exactly next door
no, they're
to
not.
them. They're a couple clusters away. And talking to Claire, and I'll let Claire speak for herself, and talking to what's her name? A couple doors down,
Callie?
Callie, who immediately abide by that, or they're right by the unit. And they didn't seem to be the issues that were brought up, but Claire, I'll let you speak.
Okay, after receiving the memo, the thing from Mrs. Huff and then Tammy's follow-up, I went and spoke to every one of my neighbors who was home. And I went from my unit, which is right next door to the unit that's being complained about, all the way down to the end of the arm, because I figured past that, they're not going to hear noise from the unit. Anyway, I will confirm that there were a number of people staying there. They were the owner's children and grandchildren. They did have towels draped over the bushes and were asked to stop that, and I believe they did. I can't speak to anything at the pool because nobody that I spoke to had anything to say about that. They were not a witness to anything going on at the pool. As far as, I'm annoyed by this because number one, the woman making the complaints will not give the name of the neighbors she said that live in Lakeside in the immediate community who are also complaining, and she lives a couple clusters away. So a lot of this stuff, like the doors on the van slamming in the middle of the night, there's no way she could have heard that. I spoke to Callie, who was the neighbor on the other side of the unit. She did have one of the older children who was with the families sleeping in her condo, which is nobody's business, number one. She's certainly entitled to do that. I asked her about people sleeping in the van. She said, absolutely not. There was nobody sleeping in the van. I don't know what she's trying, what the object of Mrs. Huff's complaints are. Does she not want the owners to allow their children and grandchildren to come and stay? One of his children has 6 or 7 kids. What are they supposed to do? Let the kids come and not the grandchildren? I don't see how, number one, we can limit the number of people that owners have visiting in their units. I just don't see how we can do that. So anyway, long story short, I did speak to all of my neighbors, like I said, who were home. Nobody witnessed anybody playing hide and seek in the carports or kids under cars. I did see one of the boys skateboarding. You know, and everything else I have to say didn't happen. So,
Claire,
May I ask?
how long were
Wait,
they
just we
visiting?
need one at a time. George,
How
did
long-
you want to?
Yeah, I just want to know how long they were visiting.
about a week.
Okay,
And they came, first the children who have 6 or 7 kids came, and then another child came with, I don't remember if they had 3 or 4 children. So, but they were here about a week.
And they
Okay.
only come like once a year, right, Claire?
Once a year during the holidays, I guess when the kids have off from school. And we live directly next door. I never heard any noise. We were never bothered by anything. So I don't know what she's talking about.
May I ask a question, please?
Yes,
Sure.
ma'am.
How many people are we talking about?
I counted 13.
How many?
13.
13. What are the fire department regulations? Is there a occupancy rate that might be at
I have
issue
no
here?
idea. I don't know.
No, there's not for that, not for residences. There could be, well, no, there isn't anything on the books that would prohibit 13 people from sleeping there.
Do we have any regulations in ours? Claire, your covenant and stuff, do we have anything in our
No.
documents?
Nothing.
No, there's a covenant that limits the number of people who can live. Like if the condo is well, they're all 2 bedrooms, but So and they don't have a third room. 4 people can live constantly in that unit.
Okay.
There's nothing about how many visitors you can have.
Well, what are these pool issues? I mean, I'm sure somebody else had to have seen what was going on.
I don't know. Tammy, Tammy, didn't you witness something at the pool?
Yes. Number one, there were 7 children and an adult in the hot tub. 2 of the little girls were picking the dots off the railing cover to the hot tub at the time, so they were not taking care of their children. They were running and screaming after dark at the pool up until 11 o'clock, which, although the pool is open till 11, that is correct, but the people that live around the pool, some of them work, and actually had to ask them if they could please tone it down from screaming and jumping cannonballs into the pool around 9 o'clock. There were numerous of their children eating several times, eating cookies, crackers, and I was there a couple of times when I saw that, plus the day that the little girl dumped a whole bowl of Cheerios in pool 5, the hot tub, and on the deck. As far as some of the other issues, there are several neighbors in your community, in your cluster, that have seen them do things, but did not want to say anything because they live and they don't want to cause hard feelings in your cluster. I was told that at 6:30, when one of the people was going to work, that she saw feet hanging out of their extended van at 6:30 in the morning. Another person who lives right across the street, not me, but someone else, said that she knows for a fact that there was mattresses in the van at night. And I was the one that heard people going in and out of the house at 2 a.m. on a Friday night. I can hear them giggling. They went from the car to the house and back to the van. Some of the other things, when you have little children at the age of 4 years old, wearing dark clothes, running down the middle of the street around the corner where Claire lives at dusk with a baby buggy, a doll buggy, FedEx, Prime, UPS, they're not watching for little kids. They could have been killed very easily. Now, although that's not an issue for Wildwood Springs Condo Association, it would be catastrophic to hear about, to see, and to be around that occurring. Yes, the children were playing hide and seek underneath the cars in the parking lot because people walking their dogs from Lakeside did see it.
Well, I would like to speak to those people. You know, everybody I spoke to had no complaints except for the towels being draped over the bushes and the fence. And the one gentleman was concerned about traffic and the little kids. Not that they were playing in the parking area, he said, but people don't really follow the 15-mile-an-hour speed limit in here. And he was concerned that somebody was going to get hit. But if, you know, I think, and this is just my opinion, I think that if you're willing to make a complaint, you should be willing to put your name to it.
Yeah.
Instead of just making blind complaint where we can't address it with you and hopefully work out a solution. I don't know what the
I will
solution
give the
to this
name.
is.
Claire, I will give the name to John and he can follow up on it.
Tammy?
I'm sorry, Tammy, I missed that.
Tammy?
Just one moment, please. Dick Pacola was next in line.
My question is, if all these things were occurring over a period of week, did anyone call the office and report it to the office? It seems to me when there's a problem, you address the problem at that time, not 2 or 3 weeks later,
And
That'd be
I
my
do,
concern.
and Dick, and to speak to that, I believe the letter said this happened last year as well as this year. So if nobody reported it last year, they didn't report it this year. So that's just a little history that I believe that's what the letter said. And now,
Right.
George, back to you.
Yeah,
What,
so
what-
that
what-
creates, maybe that creates the issue that there's not much that the office can do. Or we as an association, after the fact, all we can do is send a note and say, don't do it again. I'm urging anyone that has this problem to take action at the time of the problem, not a week later. That's what I'm advocating.
George?
Yeah, what does Huff or Tammy, what do you want the board to do at this point?
The first time it occurred, or like what Marion was saying, it occurred last year. No one wants to cause hard feelings in the clusters or at the pool or anything else. But it did go on for more than a week. And you kind of like, oh, well, it's just a one-time thing. Oh, it's just, another one-time thing. The first time I saw one of the little girls eating crackers at the pool, she's a little girl and she was walking in with crackers. Okay, nothing was said. Okay, when I saw the Cheerios go flying, I did say something to the family members, and they give a vague, oh, I didn't know. It's like, wait a second, you did know. How did the little girl put the Cheerios in the bowl? It's just little things, and it's a constant thing, and it was more than a week. It was a month-long situation.
No,
And
it
when
was
you
not.
have
If I may,
Yes, John.
I think that, and obviously there's some issues that have to be addressed, maybe not quite as severe as reported. However, if I may make a suggestion, I don't think we need to put this on the agenda. I think we've had a discussion here, and I will take from this the information, and I will write to the owner in a very positive manner and talk about what they can do to improve when they come back. Let me handle it before we get into a foo-for-all that we wouldn't want to do out in public.
Good idea.
John, could I make a suggestion? I think this has not happened this time only, but I think the problem, maybe it goes back to what Dick is saying, is that too many times we say to the people who live here in Wildwood Springs, please report what you see. And many times we see that they don't do that, and then we wind up with a bigger problem. So maybe at the residents meeting in March, we could again try to stress the importance of, if something is going on, we had it with that gentleman, remember, that was doing that sexual activity and some people didn't report it. And there have been other things. When you see activities going on, you should report it right away. And maybe we need to stress that at our meeting for, the owners, that please let people know. And I don't care if that's 911, the security people, or the office, but don't be afraid to be unpopular because something's not right. I mean, we need to stand up for what's right, and we need to speak up. So just a suggestion, you might want to put that on our agenda for our general meeting.
Well, absolutely. I think it's a good idea. The question is, do we want to leave this particular subject on this particular agenda, or should we, I'll write a letter and then give it to everybody, and hopefully that will ameliorate some of this situation.
I support the letter. Anybody else who does not support it? Do we need to take a vote on it, or say, is anybody who doesn't support John just writing a letter to the people?
No, I think the letter is a good idea. Plus, we did discuss yesterday at the security meeting that if you see something, you have to say something. I mean, that cannot be stressed enough.
Right.
And unfortunately, sometimes when there's people that are visiting, you got to realize we're an older community. Some elderly people are afraid to say something to these people at the time because they're old. And, unless they hit them with their cane, I don't know. If somebody decides to get violent.
The office, but they can
Call
call
the
the
office.
office.
But they're not
Yes.
always at the office. I mean, the office isn't open
That's security.
24/7.
Call
And you can
security.
call secure. Well, that's what I'm saying. If you see something, say something,
Say
but to stop it at the time it's occurring, a lot of people don't feel comfortable doing that for the reasons I stated.
Yes, Barbara.
So I was the one that saw the drones in action, and I did say something to the person who was operating the drones, which they told me that they were allowed to because they work for a realtor, which I told them they're not. We have an association rule. And then 2 minutes later, the owner's son-in-law came sort of storming at me. And he tried to intimidate me into telling me that this was perfectly okay because they were selling a unit and the realtor was doing this. And I said, it's not okay, and don't kill the messenger. But
Good for you, Barb.
Right.
But not
Yeah.
everybody's willing to do that, Barb. So
when they didn't stop. So they didn't stop, but I turned around, went back to my condo because I had my dog with me, and I called John and the office, and I let them know, and John took care of it. So
and that was great because John happened to be there at the time. But, that's not always the case. And security starts at 4 o'clock. Are you going to call 911 because there's a drone flying over? Or
right.
because
Or
somebody,
security.
or
I don't
because
think the drone rises to that level of
no, and
security.
neither does Cheerios in the pool. But
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, security starts at 4 o'clock. They're not here all the time either.
Yeah.
So
Breakfast here.
there are issues.
Well, there is someone on 24/7 to accept calls. And if they're serious enough, they get me involved. So
Yeah, but-
I mean, please don't ever hesitate, even if it's 4 o'clock in the morning. You will get a return to call.
See, I felt if this son-in-law,
There.
if he didn't say to me, "Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't know the rule." So they did know they were doing something wrong. And that's when I called John, because I figured if they were apologizing and said, "We didn't know, we'll stop right away," I probably wouldn't have called John to let him know.
I'll make you
Well,
bagel.
I had that situation when I was selling my house in Lakeside. I did not know that the real estate agent was doing the Zoom. We were made aware of it, and we made the real estate people take the Zoom down off their advertising. And I think in this case, we should force them to not post that Zoom footage on their website, whoever this real estate company is. Contact them and tell them that they've broken rules here, and they're not to use that video.
Well,
It's already
George,
out. It's already there.
If you will, we did write the letter, told them not to do it again. The unit was sold in a day. So posting, I mean, things don't last a day here. It's amazing.
But I think
Yeah,
the important thing is that we have got to encourage everybody who lives in Wildwood Springs. If you see something, it's not right, report it. That's the whole issue. So I don't know how we do that exactly, because it's like Barbara said, it's not always that easy to do it. But we certainly have to encourage people to report it either. Yes, Barb.
Maybe we could post something on the bulletin boards at each cluster. If you see something, say something, just to remind them. And of course, I'm going to be starting to work on the newsletter. We could put something in the newsletter on.
That's a very good thing that our cluster advisors could also work on once we get them going, just
Right.
going to the people and giving them a little card, say, hey, if you need something, either call John or call security. But that would be a very good project because they know everybody in their cluster. That
That's
could
right.
be one of their first things. We could really use their help on that. Any other things? Okay.
Good idea,
So-
Sue. Thank you.
Okay, so is there anything else? So everybody agrees that we're happy with John writing a letter and just saying, in the future, abide by whatever. Okay, John, thanks a million. We appreciate that. And the very good suggestions, everybody. Okay, the proposal from energy savings, we're just gonna wait on that, I think, until we get into our meeting. Shannon, is there anything special you want to bring up now, or?
I think I can summarize sort of the high points of that. The proposal is to install solar paneling on the office building. And the proposal will discuss the benefits of doing that and the costs of not doing it.
Will the
So-
office be given those numbers and figures prior to us getting into the meeting? So they have an opportunity to read it and digest it before we get into the meeting?
Yes, the proposal will be distributed along with the minutes and all of the packet we usually get.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I have it ready to go.
Thank you, John. Okay, we have.
I would
yes.
have a question on that if I may.
Yes, yes, please.
Is this an actionable motion on, or is it just for discussions on Monday at the meeting?
I think it's an action that we would want to have voted up or down. whether
On that
to
day?
proceed.
Because I see this as a budget item. That's the first thing that comes to
Yeah.
my mind.
Exactly.
So the question that comes to my mind is, we're simply
Yeah,
saying,
you can't vote on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has to be an information.
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
So it has to be information only, and then it goes to the budget this following year.
Hey, that's what I
Yes.
wondered. Thank you.
It is a 2023 proposal.
Yeah. Okay, next thing, spring fling.
People
We'll
are
discuss
interested.
that.
People are
Pardon?
interested and they've been asking the office if we're going to have it. And the social chair has confirmed that she would head it up if we wish to do it. And of course, again, with COVID protocols, that is a decision for the board, whether we wish to consider it because planning has to start now.
Okay, so that'll be a voting issue for the next meeting, I would presume. Okay, we've got Claire,
Well,
discuss amending the art. You have another thing here that you want to talk about it at
yes, I
all?
would yes, I would like us to consider amending the article that prohibits trucks parking with restrictions. I think we're kind of in the middle of an age where there are more trucks on the road than there are cars. And I'm not talking about work trucks or junky little pickup trucks. I think we can set some rules and parameters of what would be allowed or what would not be allowed, and probably be easier. And I would really like us to consider amending that rule.
And remember, if you're going to amend anything that in our declaration, now is the time, and there's not a lot of time because we don't go back and amend except
Right.
for once a year. So I don't know, you want to discuss it if we even want to put it on?
We keep doing this. I mean, over and over and over and over again. And the result ends up being the same. We had neighbors that just moved in from Wisconsin. They had a truck. And he said, well, what do I do with my truck? I said, well, either find someplace else to park it or sell it. So we sold it. You know, it's in there for a reason. Because you're gonna end up with people that have junky pieces of stuff that they're trying to park, or the giant trucks where they actually take up 2 parking spaces. I think we have beaten this horse to death.
Well, I think that there are SUVs that are huge, that are as big as a truck, if not bigger than some trucks. And I don't think that will wind up with junky trucks. If you look at all the communities that surround us, everybody is allowing trucks. Wildewood 2 has amended, and they allow trucks with restrictions. And I think with restrictions, it would work. And I think, while I know that this has been brought forward many times, I think it's time for us to do it again and really consider it. Those rules were put in place. I don't know how old this community is, 45 years? 45 years ago, when you had people driving around with trucks with 3 wheels, I just think it needs to be considered. That's all.
Yes, who's that? Is that,
Roger,
yes, Roger.
I would agree with Claire. I think it's time that we readdress that situation. Trucks are almost like luxury vehicles today. They're 4 doors. They have the backs covered. You can't see what's in them. If we put those restrictions in place, most of my family members who have said they want to come and visit this spring all have trucks. They don't have cars. And so I'm telling them, I don't know what I'm going to do with your truck when you get here. So I think it's time we take a look at revising that policy.
Additional
Well,
comments?
you certainly have to
George?
you certainly have to limit the size. The roads are not wide enough even now for the cars with people walking and things like that. That's why we had that rule, because of the size and everything. But it's been pointed out that the SUVs are larger today too.
Yeah.
So, but the size has to be the question, because there's a pickup truck and then there's a pickup truck. And there's pickup trucks where you need ladders to climb into. And I don't want
Absolutely.
these huge, loud contraptions hogging the road and hogging the parking spots. It doesn't work here. And everybody that buys here knows the rule before they get here, so if you need to have a truck, live somewhere else.
Thank you, George. I like that.
The word
I
certain
don't know.
type,
Yeah, I say, excuse me, there's somebody who's asking, but there's a phone number. Chris, I don't know who they are.
that's me, Tammy.
Okay, yes, Tammy.
There's certain types, when it says, when it's discussed, certain types of trucks, that is a lawsuit waiting to happen, because
No, it's not.
you cannot say, we'll allow this type of truck, but we won't allow this type of truck. I have too many rental neighbors over here that would bring in a $5,000, $10,000 truck that isn't appropriate in here, and you cannot discriminate between a large truck versus a small truck. If you can write an amending declaration that's airtight so that this association will not be sued for allowing one but not allowing the other, go for it. But that's very difficult.
Excuse me, Tammy, I don't think that's accurate. I think you can. And I think maybe John could give us some background on something that he wrote on another place. And I'm sorry, I did not mean to interrupt you, Tammy, so please continue.
Yeah, I've had several discussions with attorneys, condominium attorneys on this issue over the years, because it's been one, and certainly the thought of the old rattle trap with the fish hanging out and you name it comes to mind. But many condominiums have changed. And number one, a recent conversation at no cost to the association with Dan Lobeck, our association attorney. He said you could restrict, and you can write quote unquote airtight restrictions where one type of truck could come on, one type of could not. At Perico Bay Club, which is I managed for over 18 years, I would say a very equal type of status of a community had the same issue. And more than 10 years ago, they decided to go with a pickup with no commercial writing or signs and a covered bed where nobody could see in it. And it has worked for them. That doesn't mean.
And only four wheels, didn't you say?
Well,
Also?
four wheels,
Right.
right. No dualies or things of that nature. So, I mean, this is just right now, we're just discussing whether we want to put it even on the agenda for discussion. If we leave it on the agenda, we discuss it up or down to send it to the owners for the annual meeting. But restrictions can be added to protect the association.
I think that I think the list of restrictions would have to be pretty large, because you'd have people that would just take advantage. Once you open the gate, it'll be one thing after another. Next thing you know, they'll have kayaks hanging out the back of them. And you know what I'm saying? And this is what happens with the pickup trucks. It's just, and there are pickup trucks, and then there are pickup trucks. Some of them are more like SUVs, but some of them are just not going to be good for Wildwood Springs at all. It's going to be a big mistake.
So
Okay, we
hearing
are
what
at the
is
point
going
where we
on,
really, pardon me?
so
Rick,
hearing
did
what's
you have
going,
something to comment?
yes, so hearing what's going on in this conversation for the last few minutes, I think we have to put it on the agenda for this discussion for Monday rather than continuing it now. There's no reason why we shouldn't have a thorough adjustment and a thorough discussion on Monday.
I agree.
I agree.
Anybody not agree? Okay, well, pardon me? Okay, we're putting on the agenda for discussion.
Chris had
Our
something he
meeting.
wanted to say.
Pardon me?
Chris has something.
Chris,
One of the things that I think we would need to correct, and that is, I was on a committee a number of years ago with Bill Whipperman when we suggested putting this amendment up for a vote. The board never allowed it to go to the owners. The board at that time declined to let the owners vote on it. So despite the fact that this issue has come up, it's never been voted on by the owners.
That's the board's prerogative. That's what
Yeah.
the board does. The board decides what gets voted on, right?
No, that's not really
No.
accurate. In reality, if the board chooses not to put it up, then the membership can appeal that and get enough people to sign up. I think it's 66%. And then it can be on the agenda. But I hear what you're saying, George.
Yeah, look, I have nothing against pickup trucks, and I think if it's done properly, we could probably have them here. But you'd have to, because you know what people do. They're going to push the envelope.
well,
And
that's what
they'll
we're
say-
trying to do, George. to do
So
it
unless
properly.
you have everything written down, every little contingency that they might come up with in the future, and they'll say, oh, well, it doesn't say this exactly, so I'm allowed to do that. And the next thing you know, they'd be having flags flying off of them, and you know, I don't know. It had to be airtight. It would have to be airtight.
Okay, so we will put it on. Claire, I know it's very quick. I don't know if there are a couple of people want to join in with you and come up on writing. I think which would facilitate the discussion would be if we had some type of an outline on what would be allowable and what wouldn't. So maybe if
Okay.
anybody would be interested in helping Claire to come up with the list of things, only a suggestion, you might consider going to an automobile dealer or a truck dealer and sitting down with them and letting them kind of helping you do it. And they'll help you do something like that. But maybe there would be a few members of the board or even members of the community who love trucks and don't feel as if that's a special type of person that does it, that would be willing to help you out. So it will go on the agenda. John, put that on our agenda for our meeting, okay?
Will do.
Okay. Are there anything else? I'm looking now at just reports from people, but are there any comments or anything that you need to question before we?
I have one more thing that
Yes, John.
I did not add to the proposed agenda, and I would like to, and that is the annual meeting itself should go on there, which would be March 14th at 1 o'clock. And the question again will be, will we allow Zoom attendance and have it at the church? And primarily because we need to, last year we did everything on Zoom, and of course had a very limited meeting. I have to send a notice no later than Friday for election. And just for everybody's knowledge, there will be 8 positions on the board. I don't have it right in front of me, but Steve here and Sue and Pam and Debbie and many of the board members who've been with us quite a while are up for election again, and that will be contained in that notice.
Yeah, so start shagging the bushes, getting people on the board. There are 8 of us that are going to be going off, so unless they want to rerun, but I think we have to have this on the agenda, and we're going to kind of evaluate what takes place at our meeting next week. But we do have to have this on.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
Anything else,
the notice is going to go out before we have
Oh.
the meeting by statutory requirement of 60 days. So I'm just letting you know that I'll basically set it up as those who wish to come can come versus a closed meeting that we had last year.
Is everybody in agree? Anybody who doesn't agree with that? I think it's good, John. Anybody else who doesn't agree? Okay. I see there's somebody with a phone.
The button?
I guess it's off now. Yes, Claire.
Are we under director's comments?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I would just like to thank Roger Schultz for all the help he gave me with the employee manual. Roger, you were a godsend. I appreciate it very much. And to my committee, who did a great job doing the operations manual and the employee manual. It was a big job, and I don't think it's quite over, but you were all wonderful, and I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. It was great. Any other comments? So with that in mind, yes, Barbara.
I have a ticket for sale to see Jersey Boys, if anybody's interested.
It's a great show.
Yeah. Any other comments? Okay, so with that in mind, I guess I will say we will see all of you next week at 2 o'clock. Those of you willing, we will see you in person at the church, which means you're gonna have to get up and get dressed and put a little makeup on or shave or whatever you have to do.
Makeup.
Or whatever you do. So with that, have a wonderful day and thank you for everything.
Thank
See
you.
you later. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.